Spike needs to launch his bold new delivery business online without costs going sky high. He'll need this and Namecheap because he wants. Spike needs to launch his bold new delivery business online without costs going sky high. He'll need this and Namecheap because he wants.
Sorry, good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for the feedback. I'm just trying to check system. So please, if you can hear me, comfortable, please just hold on. Let me. I want you to know that there's going to be a little bit of time delay between when I speak and when you hear me. One of the reasons for that is so that it can be seamless, so that it won't be hanging. And I'm working on feedback. I'm at home, and there's a bit of, when I do work from home or doing things from home, there may be a lot of feedback here and there. So I'm trying to monitor the charts, so that I can see when you say something. Please, if you can hear me, hold on, let me check the charts. So I think I'm going to combine this with our WhatsApp. So if you are on the WhatsApp, if you are watching and you're live, please just send a comment on WhatsApp on the WhatsApp group, that so that I can know that you are you are listening online, you are watching the live stream. Please just go to your WhatsApp and drop a comment. I want to be sure we are here. I can see current viewers too. So I think two people. I think I'm one of the two. Because me too, I'm logged in on a different device. So I just want to have a feedback. So if you can hear me, if you are live and you're watching, please drop a message on the group chat, on the WhatsApp group. Let me see that you are connected. It's already 3:30. Oh, thank you for the feedback. So that means I've enabled the everybody to be able to drop message on the group. Also, please on the general group, if I'm clear, if what I'm saying is clear, please drop a message on the WhatsApp group to tell me that's clear. Or on the video itself, just drop a chat, a comment on the video as you're watching on YouTube. Drop a comment on YouTube. Like it. I want to just see activity so that I can be sure that there's an interaction going on. So just like the video on the that is you are watching on the YouTube, and also drop a comment on this YouTube. Let me see the comments. I want to see that we can comment and you can chat, and also let me know if it's clear, and if there's any background interruption, please let me know. Okay, thank you. Okay, so I will just go ahead. I'll start. The advantage of using this YouTube is that the video will be there for you to always go back to and watch. Because I know there may be some off and on, but to be there and keep watching it. I reduce the volume of my mic now so that you can. Okay, okay, yeah. If you are no longer hearing anything from your hand, it's not a mistake. Yeah, I'm not been saying anything. I'm just waiting for responses. I'm just testing to see how well we can hear. Although I reduced my mic a bit so that it would also reduce the amount of background noise speaking, but I believe it's still clear because I can see the signal that it's speaking my voice well. So once again, good afternoon. Like we know, we're starting a class today, and it's going to be about cybersecurity. We are laying a foundation. Some of us already have some foundation or some experience or some level of what will I call it now? Some advanced, some level of being advanced in this cyber security. You know, but basically, I'm going to start from scratch for the benefit of everybody. And today, um, what we are going to start is how to learn how to learn cybersecurity and become employable in 4 months. We are treating a career foundation course, and this is we are going to be treating 13 questions. These 13 questions are basically questions that you ask yourself as you are starting this journey. Because one of the things that make me not too, or that make people when you want to teach or you want to have a class, you want to be sure your students are ready for the long haul, not just to start and stop, because the more the people go through, the better it is. So not just starting and stopping is very important. So we want to see people pull through to the end. So that is why I'm also trying to lay a proper foundation. And that is one of the reasons why this first class, foundation class, is not, I'm not putting any amount on it like that, so that you learn, you understand what you are going into before you now subscribe for the advanced classes. And every other person subsequently that will be wanting to join the class will have to take this foundation course. And one of the reasons why it's on YouTube too. Once they sign up, they take this foundation course. From there, they can now know, okay, yes, I'm good to go. I'm ready to go all the way, and then they can take the advanced course. They can sign up for the advanced course and take the class. Let me see if I can show my face briefly. I want to reduce the load of the data communication. That's why I've not been showing my face. I hope you can see my face so that I can put a face to it. But I'm going to disable the face, my video, as we go along, so that we can concentrate. So this is my face for those of you who don't know it, but most of you, if you have watched my videos on YouTube, I'm sure you'll have seen the face. I'm just doing it for the sake of many people that will be joining later or that will be watching this video not during this live session. So straight away, without wasting much time, because I'm sure many of us have other things to do, and this is a foundation class. I want us to go straight, into the class. Okay, so we are talking about how to learn, how to learn cybersecurity and become employable in 4 months. Why 4 months? 4 months, technology is changing very fast, and whatever you are learning, if you don't learn fast, before you finish learning, the technology you used to learn has moved on to some other things. For example, if you are learning to program now, you are learning maybe a Python, and you are learning with Python 2, and before you finish learning Python 2, Python has moved to a higher version of Python 3. You have to now try to catch up. So it's good to learn quickly, so that as the technology is evolving, you are evolving with it. Cybersecurity is very wide too. Cybersecurity has a lot of things going on there, and is an evolving field too. And you need to catch up on time. So there's no point wasting all the time. get ready. In 3-4 months, you are ready. You can get an internship role or start doing something on your own, and then move on easily. So it's a career foundation course. And once again, this is cyber culture interface. My name is Olaleke Lori. I'm presenting this. So the introduction, your pathway to a successful career in cybersecurity, that's what we are dealing with today. Now, there are 13 questions which will form the course outline for this foundation course, and I hope we can run through it within the next 2 hours. The first question is to answer what is cybersecurity. The second question is cybersecurity actually for me? Ask yourself, is cybersecurity for you? Third question is why choose cybersecurity? Fourth question is where should you start from? Where do you actually want to start your cybersecurity journey from? Then number 5, what are the parts? What are the specializations? What are the areas of cybersecurity that you can focus on? Question 6 is what do you need to know? What do you need to know about cybersecurity? 7 is cybersecurity actually for you? Then how can you learn? How do you learn? What are the learning providers? Who are the people who provide learning? Where can you learn from? 10, how do you learn fast? 11, how do you gain hands-on experience? Question 12, job seeking preparations. How do you prepare for jobs? What are the platforms where you seek for job? And then conclusion. So these are the questions we're going to ask, or we're going to ask and answer ourselves today. So I'm going to be providing a guide on answering this question. So please, as I go ahead, please, there may be some background interference. Like I said, I'm working from home. I have a little boy that may disturb me from time to time. So please, for this live stream, there may be some bit of interference, but maybe later on I may edit it and then cut out the noise. So please just bear with me and follow along. So please, if you're on the WhatsApp group and you can still hear me, please just make a comment that you have had the 13 questions. So if you follow through with the 13 questions, just drop a message on the WhatsApp group and say, I had the 13 questions, so that I can know that you are following and I'm still connected to you. The comment is not enabled on the video, on the live video, because I made this video to be fit for kids, young people. That's the selection I made. So the comment is actually disabled. But please, if you can see it, just type that you had the 13 questions on the group. Good. I already got the response. Thank you, Ebenezer. Yeah, so the next thing, like I said, so taking the question, the first question is what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the practice of protecting systems, networks, and programs from digital attacks. So what we are saying, cybersecurity is all about protecting. So I'm in my company or my business, cyber culture interface or para concepts and solutions. Our theme word is protecting the future. One of the things we are doing is how do we protect the future, because we are focusing on people and the environment. So when we are protecting systems, networks, programs, these three things affect the people and they affect the environment. So what is cybersecurity? Is a practice of protecting these things. And then there are fundamental things you should know about cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is built around 3 fundamental concepts. Now they've added another one to it, which makes it 4, but usually it's 3, which is this confidentiality, integrity, availability. Now they mentioned, or there's an addition of what we call accountability too. But I'm going to speak about the confidentiality, integrity, and availability. So, and this is confidentiality is simply talking about that in cybersecurity, we are trying to protect the privacy of an individual. That is, you are making your data, you are protecting data, information about you, you are keeping it to yourself. Information that is private to you, cybersecurity is ensuring that it remains private to you. For example, your hospital records, your financial records, maybe your family records, things that are not meant for the public. Cybersecurity has the duty of protecting this, of keeping things private, keeping private things private, ensuring that private things are not leaked to the public. So that is the one concept or one fundamental thing about cybersecurity. And then integrity. Cybersecurity is also protecting the integrity. And when we talk about integrity, we are saying that data remains the way it's supposed to be, that it doesn't lose its integrity. How what are we saying? So if you write a letter to someone, and in your letter you wrote 10 lines, and you are sending the 10 lines of letter to someone, maybe you're in Nigeria, you are sending the letter to someone in Australia. You want to make sure that the letter remains 10 lines, and by the time it gets to Australia, it has not turned to 20 lines, or it has reduced to 7 lines, so it has lost integrity. Or maybe each line is made up of 15 words. By the time it gets to where it's going, it's no longer 15 words, it's now 12 words. It doesn't have integrity. So integrity is maintaining what you have said. Integrity is maintaining data in its real original state, in its intended state. And then the third thing that cybersecurity is about is availability. Cybersecurity is protecting or ensuring availability. So when you have your data is confidential, is private, is kept private, is kept with its integrity, that is not altered. And then finally, it is available. So if you have your data, you have information about yourself kept somewhere, you want to be sure that every time you need this information, you can get it. For instance, if you save your money or keep your records about your family or financial records somewhere, anytime you need that information, you want to be able to go there and fetch that information. And then if you need that information and you cannot get it, it means it's not available. So cybersecurity is ensuring that there's availability. And these three things form the major type of attacks that we experience, or people experience in cybersecurity. So hackers are trying to steal your private document, either steal it, or they are making alterations so you don't want to change it, or they want to make sure you don't have access to what belongs to you. Imagine you getting home one day and you cannot enter your home, or you get your home and you found out that your things you saved have been changed. So it is all about the integrity, confidentiality, and availability of your data. So that is what we are doing as a cybersecurity. And then in the field of cybersecurity, there are different ways you achieve these things. So the different ways you use to achieve these things is what you are expected to do as a cybersecurity professional. So examples, just like I mentioned earlier, examples are privacy, authentication, certificates, backup, distributed denial of services. These are things that relate to confidentiality, and over time we're going to be, you know, exploring it deeper. So privacy, of course, I've talked about privacy, your personal information. Authentication speaks to integrity. SSL certificates. If you are browsing the website, you see SSL. It's talking about the integrity. That certificate is what gives you a guarantee that your information has not been changed. Then backups, is availability. Backups is is saying that even something happens to your information, you have backup that can where you can extract it from. So this is what cybersecurity is focusing on. So for you to have, we are talking about the fundamentals of cybersecurity. Now, the second question is cybersecurity for you. So when you are going to cybersecurity, what you are saying is that you are trying to become someone who makes sure that the confidentiality, the integrity and availability of people's information or people's data is sustained. So you are now asking yourself, are you someone that wants to go into that? Basically, cybersecurity is it for you? So what interests do you have in technology and problem solving? Are you the kind of person that likes technology? You may not be a technical person per se, but do you have interest in technology? There are a lot of fields or roles in cybersecurity that are not very technical, but but it requires you to have interest in technology, and you like solving people's problems. Like solving problems, because basically what you are doing is that you are working against people who want to attack or hack into people's data, hack into or make people's data not available. So what you are doing is, are you interested in solving problem solving, and are you willing to continuously learn? Why? Because cybersecurity is very, very, it's like it's fast changing. Because there's an adage that they speak in Yoruba. For those of us who are from Nigeria and you speak Yoruba, African proverb, it talks about when a bird keeps flying, when a bird learns how to fly without perching, the hunter too learns to shoot without missing. And that's what happens between hackers and cybersecurity professionals. As you are protecting your system, you are coming up with tools to protect your system. These hackers who are developing ways to break into it, they are developing ways to break to it. So technology keeps changing. As new technologies are coming out, they are hacking in new technologies. And people keep, these things keep changing. So you need to continuously learn. The tactics you learned yesterday may not be working again today. So you may develop a way of breaking that tactic. So do you enjoy solving puzzles, analyzing complex problems? So look at yourself, assess yourself. Do you need these things as a fundamental? Forget about the technical aspect of cybersecurity. You may not necessarily need to be technical, but you need to have interest, and willingness to continue to learn. So if you are following me, just let me see your thumbs up on the WhatsApp group. Just drop a comment. Let me see that you are following, that you've had what I said about question 2, just to have some engagement. So if you have any questions also about what I've been saying so far, you can always drop it in the WhatsApp group and I will see it. Since the comment is not enabled on the live streaming, eventually when the video goes on the proper channel, there'll be room for comment. But for here, drop your comment, ask your questions in the WhatsApp group. And if you are watching this video, you want to belong to that WhatsApp group, there's a link that will be posted in the description of this video for you to join the next class. Okay, so the third question we are asking and answering is, why choose cybersecurity? Why do you want to choose cybersecurity? There's a high demand. The need for cybersecurity professionals is increasing or is growing every day. It's a rewarding career, competitive salaries, and job satisfaction. Definitely, tech is paying high these days, and cybersecurity in tech is paying well high too. Then impactful work. You can imagine the joy you see when you protect data and system. You're just like a policeman. I've been watching some movies recently. It's called Rookies, about LAPD, and there is a lot of joy, fulfillment you get when you're able to protect digital citizens from being hacked. So when you protect data and system from cyber threats, you're making impactful work. You are saving the future, like I said earlier on. Now, the fourth question is, where should I start from? So in there, you need to evaluate yourself. Where do you want to start from? So first thing, when you want to know where you start from, you need to know where you are. So what's your academic background? What are the relevant degrees or certifications you have? I'm not saying these things are going to stop you, but it's basically telling you where you start. For example, someone that read computer science is not going to start cybersecurity the way someone that read law is going to start, or someone that read English education, for instance. So where you are coming from, someone that did computer science already, by the time he or she is done in school, they've learned a lot about computers. So what relevant degrees do you have? What are the relevant degrees you have? What's your professional background? So even though you read education English in school, and by the time you are done, some people have already worked in tech backgrounds. Work in tech companies, you work in companies that deals with computers. So you might have experience in IT or retail fields. So also, what are your interests and abilities? Some people didn't study it in school, they didn't do anything work there, but they just have interest in tech things, and they've developed skills that are aligned with cybersecurity tasks. So over the years, they've developed skills. Okay. So then the personality types too. Personality types, when we're talking about, are you an analytical person, detail oriented person, or you're a proactive person? These things will guide you to know which fields or which aspect of cybersecurity you want to go to, which area, and even how to start. Now, the next question is, what parts or specializations? So there are a lot of parts, like I said, there are a lot of areas in cybersecurity. So we have things like network security, application security, cloud security, ethical hacking, incident transport. We have the governance, risk, and compliance. So these are different areas, and we have more. So what parts you specialize in? You need to choose a part. You need to spend time. If you remember earlier on, I said one of the key requirements for you to go into cybersecurity is for you to have a willingness to learn. So you can't learn everything in a class. So for example, you need to do research and find out what is network security about, what is application security about, Network security about, for instance, is cybersecurity aspect that focus on protecting things like servers, IT infrastructure in an organizations, communication within the organization, IT gadgets, communication gadgets like that forms a network within an organization. So that's an aspect of that is a quite technical aspect. So for people who have technical background, that's a good area. But if you don't have any technical background, I would suggest that you shy away from there. But if you still have keenness to technical things, you might go there, but it means you have to learn a lot of things. Then we have application security, which talks about protecting applications. We are in a very digital world today. Most of the things we do are apps, a lot of apps. So these apps need to be protected. These apps needs to be kept safe. We have APIs here and there, different applications connecting with each other. So they need to be protected. And so this also a bit technical because it involves some learning things like some programming, learning how softwares work. So you may need some technicality too there, but not to say that you cannot learn. It's something you can go into. We have cloud security. Cloud, everybody's in the cloud today. People do a lot of things in the cloud. Their data are in the cloud. There are a lot of cloud service providers there. All these things in the cloud need to be protected. If you're interested in cloud, you have a flair for cloud things. This is a good area too. We have ethical hacking. Ethical hacking are basically people who test systems, who test your network, who test your infrastructure, who test things and check, whether they and look for vulnerabilities in them. So ethical hacking is basically they are checking your system to see if there is any vulnerability, and then they will tell you about the vulnerability and you suggest things you can do to you. So ethical hacking is basically the opposite of malicious hackers or black hacked hackers. Why? Because hackers or malicious hackers are hacking with the intention of exploiting any vulnerability they find. For instance, they want to check that if you forgot to put your password in a very critical device, and when they find out that you didn't put your password, they quickly log in and change the password and take over, and this thereby causing a lot of disruptions. That is not ethical. Ethical hackers will find out that you do not put a password in your device, and they will call you and tell you, no, guy, you did not put a password in this device. It can easily be taken over. So that's ethical hacking. Then we have incident response. Incident response are people who respond to when an hacking happens or when a system has been compromised. Incident responders are people that are called in to check, to investigate, look at what is going on for you to they determine how much damage or they try to contain the whole situation. So these are incidents responders. Then we have the governance, risk and compliance people. These are people basically the non-technical aspect. And what are these? They are dealing with policies. They are making sure that you follow due process. They are making sure that the things that you need to put in place are there. They are making sure that you check your risk management, profile or risk management level is properly taken care of, or they want to ensure that you are complying with laws. You want to make sure that your cyber security policies are compliant with the government. So these are compliant. These areas are non-technical. And a lot of people are going into it now, especially people who don't have technical background and are quite interested in cyber security. Then, what do you need to know? That's the next question. Your technical expectation, you need to have a basic understanding of networks, programming, and security tools. And these are things you don't need as for someone. If for instance, if you are going into the GRC area, you may not need to be very, very, very knowledgeable, versatile in this, but you need to have an understanding of what is a network, what is programming, what's an API. At least know the definitions. Know the truth, know what an antivirus is, not what a firewall is. Even though you cannot configure a firewall or you cannot set up an antivirus, but at least you should know these things. Then the non-technical expectations, you'll be able to communicate. Communication is very important because in cybersecurity, if you cannot communicate, you cannot provide security. You can imagine a policeman not knowing how to talk to you, like we have in some parts of the country or some countries or some developing countries where their police people are very whack, and then police they communicate badly in some areas, and when they can't communicate, how do they protect you? So communication is key. When you find out some weaknesses in this or vulnerabilities in the system, you should be able to write a report that everybody within the organization that needs to see the report be able to see it. When you find out a flaw, or when you find out that an attack is happening, you should be able to communicate, or to tell people that this is what is going on. Then we have problem solving. You should non-technical expectations include problem solving. You have a knack for solving problem. It's very important, because if you are not interested in solving problem, then as a cybersecurity person, you will not go far. You will not you'll be looking for things that are already solved. So you should problem solving is very important as a non-technical expectation. And then critical thinking, because like I said earlier on, hackers are developing new ways of carrying out their attacks. So you too are also, you should be able to think critically, think like an hacker. You should be able to think like, oh, what would an hacker do in this place? you know these are things that you need to that requires critical thinking. Then, so let's go to the next question. So the next question we are taking here is, how can you learn, or how do you want to learn? How can you learn? How do you want to learn? And when you're answering this question, basically you're saying, do you want to go for a free or paid option? So there are a lot of free options. Actually, there are a lot of free ways to learn cybersecurity. But the downside of free is that you don't get support when you're learning and you don't understand. You rarely get people to respond to your questions. But if you go to the paid options, the paid option provide the opportunity of asking questions, getting hand holding, getting support. These are the options. So there are other pros and cons of each, but I'm just highlighting those ones. But that's one of the reasons why, despite the fact that there are a lot of free videos online on YouTube, tell me everywhere where you can learn, people still pay to learn this thing, because you need to get support. You're not just on an island on your own. And when you learn, even certifications that you take too, this paid option provide help to prepare you for specifically for certifications. So you can achieve it by learning free, but it might take a bit longer than when you go for paid options. Then you have the self-study or instructor led. So self-study is still talking the same thing. Do you want to, even if you pay, okay, so even self-study might be paid, which means, for instance, the video on demand, like if you pay for study materials and you are studying on your own, that's what I refer to as self-study. Or you can also decide to go for an instructor led solutions. Sorry for the distraction. So you may also go for the instructor led, which means there's an instructor that is showing you what and what to do. Is hand holding you, testing you, helping you, taking you through the process. That's how options for learning. Then who are the learning providers? So there are a lot of learning providers, but I've highlighted some that I've used particularly, and I've found it to be very easy, easy to use, and they have very good resources to learn. And in fact, some of them, we're going to, for the people that will be signing up for the advanced classes, we are going to be using some of this platform, to combining with our own, with the, as an instructor led, combining it with what we do to provide instructor led sessions. So the popular ones are Try Acme, which is for me, like one of my favorites. I think is even my favorite, Try Acme, because the way it's structured, there are quizzes, there are challenges, there are things that help you to learn easily, even for a non-technical person, and they teach technical things but making it easy to learn, breaking it down, creating challenges, having engagement. They have video instructors too. Then we have Hack the Box. Hack the Box is similar to Try Acme too, which provides opportunity to to test yourself, take on challenges too. Then we have the Coursera. Coursera is a good platform, is a popular platform. It's not, ActiveBox and TryAcme are focused on cybersecurity, but Coursera has other things. Udemy has other things. Harlison too has other things. Then InfoSec Institute too is also focused on cybersecurity. InfoSec Institute is a bit expensive anyway, more than the other ones, but they are very organized, and they have some free free modules that you can take too. So, like I said, if you have any question, you can you can switch from your YouTube to WhatsApp. Please, you can be dropping your questions, or otherwise just be taking notes of it. Once you are through, I'll be expecting you to drop your questions on the WhatsApp group so that I can take them. Then, how do you learn fast? How do you learn fast? The fundamental thing you need to know is to set clear goals. Like I said, set a clear goal. Like, okay, in 3 months I want to write this certification. In 3 months I want to learn this. In 3 months I want to, achieve this and they set clear goals. Then cybersecurity is something you need to practice regularly. Because if you start learning this week and you leave it for 1 month and you want to come back after 1 month, you will have to start from the beginning again. Because you learn by practicing. Then join study groups. An example of study group is what we are having here, where you have more than one person learning the same thing at the same time. You can exchange ideas, you can challenge yourselves. It helps learning fast. In fact, if you want to achieve that 3 months, 4 months target I said earlier on, joining study group is critical. It will help you to achieve that one because you challenge yourself faster. Then you get a mentor. A mentor is simply someone that you look up to, or someone that helps provide you guidance, hold your hands and show you the way to go. Then how do I gain hands-on experience? Basically, you have to go back to the last to 2 slides away where we talk about try hacking and hack the bugs. Basically, do try hacking, hack the bugs. They have labs, they have simulations. Then also you can download, which is what we're still going to go into that, or even in this foundation, how to set up your home lab, how to set up your Kali Linux, how to set up your environment or your system where you can be hacking, you can be testing. Labs and simulations are very important because you don't want to test what you are learning on a production server or somebody else, because you can be sued, you can be taken to court, you can be arrested for that. You can imagine if you just decide to test a website and say, this website, let me check whether it's strong, whether it's well protected, and you tested it and you break it and you found a loophole there, they will come and ask you who sent you. So when you have your labs, set up your home labs and simulations on your system, you can practice to any level. You are not breaking anybody's confidentiality. You are not disturbing, affecting the availability. You are not causing shutdown of any system. You are not risking anybody's setup. So labs and simulations are very key to help you to learn fast. Then internships too, of course. Pick up internship, just volunteer, volunteer to teach it, volunteer to do it. Look at your friends and family, help them to set up antivirus, help them to set up firewalls on their system, troubleshoot, test, solve problems for them. Volunteer to teach, talk about it. This will help. And then online projects, quizzes and challenges, they are there too. A lot of online quizzes and challenges there that you can take up. We'll be showing or we'll be using some of these things even as time goes on. Then job seeking, of course, LinkedIn is our go-to for job seeking. Your profile, and the good thing about LinkedIn is that even right now, as you are starting to learn, go and start posting your journey on LinkedIn. That's what people do. I've learned this. Oh, this is what I'm learning, and demonstrate it there. It helps to people begin to notice you and begin to know that, oh, this guy is into this thing, or this person is into this thing. They can do this. Then portfolio, a good example of where you can set up a portfolio is on GitHub. So GitHub, if you are writing any code or you are doing anything in this area, your personal practice or any skill or anything you've achieved, go and create a portfolio of what you are doing and post it there, and showcasing your project and skills. That's where you can also refer to it too. Maybe you are having an interview and they want to know what you've done. You can refer to them. You can show them the link to your portfolio and they will check it out. Then your CV and resume, make sure that your CV is well prepared and you is tailored to reflect your cybersecurity roles. Then platforms, you need to go. Popular platforms are like LinkedIn, Indeed, Glassdoor, Cybersec jobs. You need to learn how to effectively use this platform. There are tools, there are ways around these things. So these are the popular job seeking platforms that you can Thank you. We're still going to go deeper into some of these things later. And for those of you who've not bought my book, there's a book on seller. I'll provide link later so you can check it out. In this book, I delve deeper into how to achieve some of these things that I've been talking about earlier on. Now, in conclusion, basically, cybersecurity, is it for you? From what you've learned of this talk so far, you should have an idea of what you're about to get into. Remember, cybersecurity is about CIA, about keeping the confidentiality of people's data. Ensuring that this data that you are keeping private it has integrity. Basically, we are saying that it is not altered or compromised or changed without authorization. Then availability is simply saying that this data that you have kept, you know kept uncompromised, that you have kept the integrity, and it's private. It's only you. This data means that you can access it. That's availability. Because if you cannot access this data, you are still being robbed of the benefit of whatever the data should give you. So that's availability. Remember, I mentioned that there's also accountability, which has been introduced into the CIA triad. Some people had it as part of the fundamental. Accountability is simply talking about reporting, ensuring that somebody, this especially comes in when you are talking about the governance or compliance aspect. When you are accountable, you are being held accountable, you are making sure that that whoever is keeping the data is held accountable. So cybersecurity accountability is also very key. So the next step is for us to we are going to go next week into looking at, or in the next class, we're going to be looking at things like the cybersecurity landscape. Let me do a brief flash of what that one is going to be about. So, but meanwhile, and this after this discussion, please, it's time for questions. If you have any questions, I want to take it. I want to see your questions. I want to drop it in the WhatsApp group now. Let me see the questions while I'm trying to show you what we're going to be talking about in the next class or the next session. So I'm expecting your questions. If you can see on the screen, so the foundation course that I'm talking about for the next session. So in the next class, while I'm waiting for questions to drop on the WhatsApp, we're looking at we're going to be looking at introduction to cybersecurity again. We're going to look at cybersecurity careers and extension. We may not go into that again because we have dealt with that one, but we are going to look again at basic cybersecurity concepts, practical cybersecurity skills. So so we're going to look at things like importance. We've talked about the CIA today. So we're going to look at cybersecurity threat landscape. And please, if you are still following, please just take your time to go to the WhatsApp. Let me see your comments on the WhatsApp. Let me see what you're saying on the WhatsApp. If you are here and you can still see what I'm talking about, just drop a comment on WhatsApp. Okay, no questions yet. Good. So, okay, so like mentioned, I've taken time to talk about the CIA triad. I'm going to delve briefly into talking about cybersecurity threat landscape. You know, so after you have gone through this video and then you have looked at what cybersecurity is all about, and you've answered the 13 questions that we treated just earlier on, which will make you decide on going further with cybersecurity, we need to look at the cybersecurity threat landscape. So these are fundamental or foundational courses or foundational topics, which will form the basis of what we're going to be doing in the advanced class. And now, when we're talking about cybersecurity threat landscape, we are referring to the various type of cyber threats and their sources. The potential impact they can have on an organization and individuals. This is constantly changing as new threats emerge and old ones adapt. So the threat landscape is simply talking about what is happening in the area of cybersecurity. What are the threats? What are the hacks? What are the impacts? How does it affect the organization? How do these threats come? Who are the people who perpetrate these cybersecurity threats? I mean, who are the guys behind these hackers? What are they called? How do you categorize these hackers? How do you categorize them? How do you understand them? So basically, this is the cybersecurity threat landscape. And like I said, it is evolving. The landscape is changing every time because new technologies are coming out. So the threats are changing too. Like social engineering, for instance, social engineering keeps evolving. There was a time it's only SMS that we have. So there was a time now we have video messages going on very well. So all these new ways of communication as they are coming up, hackers are also latching onto them and using them to perpetrate their crimes. So when we're talking about the landscape, so there are different types of cyber threats. We're going to look at types of cyber threats. So we have malware, we have phishing, we have denial of service attacks. And malware is simply these are malicious software. Malwares are malicious software that are designed to damage or disrupt or gain access, unauthorized access to systems. So remember, when you have unauthorized access, you are breaking both two things at the same time. You are breaking confidentiality and integrity, of systems. So an example is ransomware. Ransomware is common and it's very terrible. It's very bad because ransomware is that one that they sent a file, they sent a program into your system, and they enter your system. When they enter, it encrypts all your files, and when you encrypt all your files, it means you cannot have access to it. And then they will tell you to make payment, and even when you pay, you are not guaranteed that they will still even release those files because sometimes the intention is not to make money. The intention is to just cause, to deny you have access, to break that availability, making sure your data is not available to you for use. So ransomware is a very terrible one, and people, organizations have suffered a lot from this ransomware. So these are examples of malware. Another type of cyber threat is phishing. Phishing or phishing. Phishing is a deceptive attempt to obtain information, sensitive information. They pretend to be someone that is trustworthy. For example, you can see an email that looks like it's coming from someone that you know or an authorized body, but it's a lie. If you look at it, they will tell you, for instance, that there's something going on that you urgently need to keep attention to, and then because you need to do it urgently, you need to make payments or you need to provide some information, that are supposed to be private to you. These are phishing emails. You know, they are asking you for your login credentials. They are putting pressure on you. There are ways to identify these things, which we will still, talk about later. Then another popular type of cyber threat is denial of service, the DOS, attacks. So this one is attacking the availability. So Denial of service is basically making sure that you don't have access to what is yours, or a system that is yours. So you can imagine that you have a shop, you are selling something in a shop, and there is only one, and the shop is meant to, have only one door, or let me say only one access or one window through which you communicate with the person inside. So you can imagine those places in those places where you are going to make payments after doing something, and then you are going to be speaking to someone through the window. So imagine you have a situation like that, and you need information from the person inside, and then some three or four persons now crowded the front of the window where you are supposed to be speaking through to someone. So they are denying you access to the service of the person inside. So that's the way denial of service works. So denial of service uses the computers to flood your systems with messages that are not yours. So they'll be sending traffic to your site. For instance, maybe you have a website, and then a website that is supposed to handle like maybe 100 people at a time. Only 100 people should be viewing the website at a time. Then they now said like 10,000 persons will be viewing your website at the end. Definitely that website will crash. So that's the denial of service attack. That's example of cyber threat. Another type of cyber threat is SQL injection. See, these are for people who are into application, security. So SQL is basically exploiting vulnerability in a web application by inserting malicious SQL queries. So SQL is talking about people who have database. It's common with things like maybe bank where you are filling a form, or online application whereby you need to fill a form and request for information. You query, you fill in your detail, and then you click search, and then it brings out information for you. So they use SQL tables to prepare those information in the back end, and then when you query the information, the SQL table will provide the information for you. So SQL injection is now, some people now craft ways of sending queries that are malicious. The intention is to exploit a fault or a vulnerability inside the application that is bringing out those data for you. So an example of SQL injection, is an example of cyber threats. Another example of cyber threat is advanced persistent threats. These are threats that are long-term threats. They are targeted, they are not intended to be detected for a long period, and these are usually threats to governments, institutions. These are usually carried out by government. When you hear that China is attacking US, or US is doing something against China, so they can be in your system. For instance, China might be monitoring what is going on in China, or US monitoring what's going on in China, either ways, or any country, whatever, for years. A good example of it is when for people who buy Chinese devices, Chinese maybe gadgets, communication gadgets, and you will hear the story that don't buy that, somebody is monitoring. Anytime you are chatting or you are calling, that somebody is monitoring it. So sometimes, I know it takes a lot. It's for you to set up a mobile device, a mobile phone company that will be making mobile phones, and then you're now inserting codes into those phones. You must be someone that is big, for you to set up a manufacturing company with the intention of putting codes inside it that will be, spying on people. Those are persistent threats. You can be using your phone for 5 years and you don't know that something is running behind. Those are advanced persistent threats. They are usually carried out by, institutions and organizations, people, nation state actors, people with big pockets. Then we have another type of cyber threat that we call man in the middle attacks. So man in the middle attacks is basically interception of communication between two parties. That is, when you carry your phone and you are trying to call someone like in your office, I want to discuss business, and somebody is tapping into your conversation without you knowing. So you think you are talking to someone, but there's somebody in between who is listening to what you are saying and the person's response. In fact, sometimes they will take your information that you have said, they will download it, and then they will send the information to person. So they are in the middle. So it's called man in the middle attack. So interception of communication. This is a very common attack It happens a lot of times, especially for people who use public Wi-Fi or public infrastructure. People are listening to your conversations. It happens a lot. Now we have sources of cyber threats. So we are going to be. I want to put a pause here. Let me see what we have left. Let me see if we can take it. Okay. Let me see if I can go through it and round up. So we have sources of cyber threats. So these are the people, the different kind of people that carry out these cyber attacks. So we have the one activists. Activists are basically individuals or groups that use hacking to promote political cause. So these are opposition groups. They are angry against the government, and then they want to make a statement. Then they hack into maybe the government website or a government institution. Today they are activists. So we call them activists, and they have a political motive. Then we have cyber criminals. So these are groups or individuals or people who engage in illegal activities for financial gain. Their purpose is to, steal money or steal information, for financial gain. They want to sell it. For example, a ransomware group, which is very popular, they just find a way to encrypt all these computers a particular organization is using. For instance, let's say a bank in Nigeria, let's say a bank, for instance, just discovered that all their systems, they cannot log into their system again. And then a group of people are asking them, okay, you have to pay us so amount of money before we release the code. That's cyber criminals. Then we have nation state actors. So these are government sponsored groups conducting spy operations or cyber warfare. Like a very good example is Ukraine and Russia. A lot of that happened between Ukraine and Russia. You see the Russian government sponsoring cyber cyber cybersecurity people, sponsoring hackers, to infiltrate Ukraine too, doing the same thing. Israel too is known for, known well to do involved in such things. So these are nation state actors. Then we have insider threat. Insider threat is for me is the most dangerous kind. If you're a Nigerian and there's one African in Yoruba, they will talk about somebody in the house that is killing you. There's a proverb like that. So insider threats are very dangerous because they are very difficult to know. These are people within employees or associates who pose a threat due to their access to critical system. You can imagine you have a bank have people who are working for cyber criminals, but they are staffs of the bank. They know the password, they know the code, they know where you kept money, they know when money is going to be moved, they know who is using data. Insider threats are really, really very difficult. And I'm putting together a book on on that. These are vulnerabilities that are often being ignored by organizations. Then we have script kiddies. Script kiddies are people who these are amateur hackers. Their intention is not really to cause harm. For instance, maybe a secondary school boy that is just learning how to code. He's just testing things out. It's not is a aim is not to maybe to steal money or to make a political system. He just learned something and he's just trying it out. And he didn't know that what he's trying out can cause a big problem. So script kiddies can be very dangerous too because they are usually unpredictable and they also responsible for what a lot of 0-day hacking, which is 0-day vulnerabilities, which are things that you do not know exist. These are vulnerability that you do not know exist. Somebody, because he's just playing with something and just suddenly discovered there's a weakness somewhere, and then they exploit. Scripted this can be very dangerous too. So you need, as a cybersecurity professional, you are protecting against script kiddies too. And then what are the impact of these cyber threats? Cyber threats can cause financial loss. If you look at the news, you will see a lot of losses. And even recently in Nigeria, a lot of banks are going through, having been hacked, but they are not coming out to say it. They lose money. We can imagine that a bank that you cannot access their information, or banks cannot conduct their transaction because of hacks, so they are losing money. Or maybe some hackers just decide to shut down maybe a telecommunication company. I know telecommunication company, when people call, that's when they make money, and people are not able to call, so it leads to financial loss. So it happens a lot. Then we have data breaches, like when an hospital that has records of people's personal records is being hacked, and this information is out there in the hands of people who are malicious. So these are data breaches, are the impact of cyber threats. Operational disruption, of course, if they shut down your communication, you are unable to communicate. It can cause There's a lot of disruption. Sorry for the background noise. Yeah. So another impact of cyber threat is reputational damage. You know, reputational damage, like and that is one of the reasons that most banks, especially in places like in our country here, most banks will not talk about cyber incidents that happen in their bank, because they don't want people to know that their system is vulnerable. So they protect their reputation. Or maybe a celebrity, they hack the celebrity's web page, and then the hackers are using the web page to perpetuate uh malicious actions, activities. Then the reputation of that celebrity is in question, or reputation of that institution is questioned. And then we have legal and regulatory consequences. So sometimes when these cyber threats happen and it's being investigated, and then it's found that it's as a result of some compliance that are not properly done, you know, these threats can result into legal fines, legal issues can come up, and then regulators can put a bad rating on those individuals or those institutions. So this is a good example why we have GHC, we have the compliance aspect of cybersecurity. Then we have evolving threat landscape. So we have emerging threats, we have what we call emerging threats. These are examples of zero-day exploits. These are threats that you don't know exist. Zero-day exploits, these are attacks on vulnerabilities that you don't know. For instance, maybe a manufacturer makes a phone, and he doesn't know that if you press the power key on the phone and then you press 1 2 3, something will happen. Maybe it's just a boy that was playing with the phone, a skip kiddie that was playing with the phone one day, just discovered that if you press this, it will automatically unlock the phone. So those are zero-day exploits, because the manufacturer does not know that if that happens, his phone becomes. So these are examples of emerging threats. And when such things happen and it doesn't get to the knowledge of the manufacturer, and someone decides to go online to post that if you press power button and key 1 2 3, you will get this, and then it goes viral, and everybody who has that phone begins to, they are exposed, until the manufacturer is able to maybe update their software, and then make the phone secure again. So these are emerging trends. Then we have increased sophistication, because tools are coming out, different technologies coming out, and one of the ways these tools for malicious actions happen is because of the advanced persistent threats. These are people with deep pockets sponsoring research, and sponsoring research and developing new tools. So a lot of money is going to this, and then social engineer, cybersecurity attacks in this area is becoming a lot sophisticated. Like example is social engineering, stealth malware. These are things that can really, really cause a lot of harm, and they are very, very difficult to tackle. Then we have connectivity. Greater connectivity is another thing when you're talking about IoT. Now, every gadget is coming with the ability to connect with the internet. Whether your phone, your TV, your gas cooker, your fridge, your car, because these things are now being connected to the internet, is increasing the attack vector like this. The threat landscape is becoming more sophisticated. So you now need to protect your phone. You need cybersecurity professional to protect your to specialize in protecting fridges, to protect your drones, to protect these different things. So greater connectivity is also uh, making the trans landscape increase, and then regulatory changes too. So when new regulations come up, then it means that the threats too increase, because you are now having the need to meet up with regulations. So, and when these regulations you don't meet up with these regulations, you can be exposed to regulatory fines, or clamp down that leads to your system being unavailable. So if you're a GRC, professional, for example, and in cybersecurity, your role is to ensure that your organization complies with such regulations. So we also have defensive measures that you can take, which are regular security assessments. These are vulnerability testing or vulnerability scanning. So we have people who specialize in vulnerability management too. As an aspect of cybersecurity, these people conduct regular security assessments of your systems and make sure that your system is intact and is okay. Then we have user training and awareness. These are people who are constantly training your people in your organization, training the community. For example, like about a week ago, I myself I was involved in training some students, creating an awareness about cybersecurity. So these are people. This training awareness is ensuring that people know the right thing to do and the right things to protect themselves from being exposed to cybersecurity threat. And then we have advanced security technologies, AI. This is age of AI. We have CM system, which are security incidents and events, management system. These are systems that are protecting you in your system every time in real time, ensuring that your your devices or your system or your networks are constantly being protected, and they are AI driven, because you don't need a human to stay behind it. They are using data to control the software that are carrying out this. Then we have the incident response planning. The incident response plan is like having a guideline, of what to do in case you notice a compromise. For instance, if you suddenly discover that your device at home has been hacked. Maybe you suddenly discover that your webcam is just coming up and some people are monitoring you. What are the things you need to do? What are the set of steps you need to take? Or when you suddenly discover that a system in your organization has been infected with virus, what are the plan? How do you respond to that? So that's incident response planning. So these are defensive measures. So these plans are prepared ahead of time, you know, before that incident actually happens. So, and this is an area where some people are specialized into incident response planning. So you can think of that as an area of cybersecurity that you may want to explore too. Then we have strong access control. So this is a no-brainer. Mostly these days, people use this multi-factor authentication. That is, when you want to log into a place, they will first of all send you a code, an OTP to your phone, provide the code. Sometimes it's fingerprint. After putting your password, they will not tell you to put your fingerprint, or you scan your face. So these are ways of ensuring you have stronger access control. And we have some examples of cyber attacks that has happened. In 2017, we have the one we call the WannaCry ransom attack, where about 200,000 computers across 150 countries were affected. Their data were encrypted, and then the cyber crime criminals that did this were demanding for ransom with Bitcoin, that we should pay them Bitcoin. About, you can imagine 200,000 people, you know, having not having access. I'm sure out of the 200,000 people, maybe 10,000 people will decide to pay. Another example is a data breach in 2013, where hackers stole credit card and personal information of over 40 million customers, by exploiting some vulnerabilities that were found in the organization's network. Then we have the one in 2020, SolarWinds, you know, which is a supply chain attack. So when we say supply chain attack, this is another area that attention needs to be paid to. Supply chain basically is talking about your vendors, people who provide things you use, who supply the things you use in your organization. A good example is the person that supplies you your photocopying machine. For example, you have an organization, you have paid for top security, you have the latest security gadgets, but there's someone that comes into your organization to repair your photocopying machine, and your photocopying machine is connected to your network, and you don't know that the person is careless. So the person carries your photocopy machine and takes it to his office to go and fix. And while fixing it, he exposes your IP addresses on your photocopy machine to hackers. Hackers can just go and wait for you, the person, because they know that, okay, this is the guy that goes into your office to repair your gadgets, and then they know the guy is not properly secure. So they don't have access to your organization, but your supply chain, someone in your supply chain has that access. And then when the person comes in, they are able to attack the person, and from the person they have access to you, they have information about you. So this solar winds in 2020 experienced something like that, and this compromised a lot of organizations, including government agencies, because solar winds provides a tool, a software that government agencies and a lot of other organizations use. So the attackers inserted a malicious code in SolarWinds software. So SolarWinds, was hacked, and then because SolarWinds is providing services for governments and organizations, and then through that, these organizations that SolarWinds is providing service for, they got compromised and their data was exposed. So that's an example of you know confidentiality being broken and a cybersecurity attack happening. So that is where we're going to stop for today. Basically, we have dealt with foundation, and like I said, the advantage of having this video here is so that you can go at any time and watch it. I expect us to go back to watch it over the and even if you don't have questions now, as you watch it again, you may have questions and take notes, and then you can ask the questions in our WhatsApp groups, and then it will be answered. And some of the questions that we ask may come up, may have to do a video to follow up on the questions to explain in details, of what questions we have. So I will go into the chat now and see if there's any question or any comment that we have. Remember, like I mentioned, if you are watching this video after this live stream has ended and you are wondering what charts are we talking about, what groups are we talking about, so I'm going to put a link in the description to this video, where you can register and have access to the chats or the WhatsApp group where these conversations are going on. So do we have any question? If we don't have any question, I will stop the broadcast. I'll end the streaming, and then we'll end the live session, and then leave follow-up questions, whatever other conversations we have to be going on in the WhatsApp group. No question. I'm assuming there's no question, and then based on that, I'll be shutting down the live stream.